Commissioner Gordon, Bane has escaped.
There comes a point in every pursuit where exhaustion speaks louder than reason. You start questioning the purpose, the timing, the weight of the road itself. The mind whispers that you've done enough, that stopping now wouldn't be failure but mercy. Yet deep down you know that quitting is never mercy. It's decay disguised as rest. You didn't crawl through the chaos, burn through the doubt, and break through the noise just to stop on the edge of transformation. The pressure you feel is not a signal to surrender. It's the proof that you are nearing the threshold where most people fold. Pain means proximity. The storm that feels unbearable is the sign that the ground beneath you is changing. You've carried too much pain for it to be meaningless now. The only way to honor it is to finish what it demanded of you. Every struggle has a hidden contract. The price you pay in silence, in effort, in isolation is the down payment on the future you prayed for. Every long night and early morning builds a debt the universe intends to return with interest, but only if you endure. Most stop when the returns are invisible, not realizing that every unseen moment was still compounding. Growth doesn't announce itself. It works in silence, accumulating, waiting for proof to take form. You've already done the hardest part. You started. You stayed. You endured the long stretch where no one clapped. That alone separates you from 99% of the world. You owe it to that version of yourself who didn't stop when it made no sense to keep going. The truth is, quitting doesn't reset the pain. It just restarts it somewhere else. Regret is heavier than fatigue, quieter than failure, and far more permanent. You can't negotiate peace with your conscience when it knows you betrayed your own effort. The mind never forgets what it almost became. Every unfinished goal lives like an echo, haunting the hours that follow. That's why giving up feels easier in the moment, but torturous later, because part of you knows you left gold in the ground. When you walk away too soon, you don't escape difficulty. You just choose a slower form of suffering. You've come too far to carry regret on top of exhaustion. The weight you feel right now is not punishment, it's conditioning. Life is testing the density of your belief. It's asking whether you're building for applause or for legacy. If it gave you everything you wanted too soon, you'd crumble under the pressure. That's why the journey stretches you, to make sure your spirit can sustain what your ambition demands. You are not being delayed. You are being reinforced. Every setback has been an unspoken invitation to adapt, to build a structure strong enough to hold the success that's coming. The pain is not a warning to stop. It's a rehearsal for responsibility. When you started, you had motivation. Now, all that's left is conviction. Motivation fades when the novelty ends, but conviction grows in the ashes of fatigue. That's why most never finish. They were fueled by excitement, not endurance. You, however, have been tempered by repetition. You've learned to act without emotion, to move without applause, to believe without confirmation. That's what separates finishers from dreamers. The dreamers wait to feel ready again. The finishers build through the numbness. You are not tired, you are being refined. The fatigue you feel is just proof that the old version of you is dissolving to make room for something greater. You've survived seasons that were designed to break you. You've rebuilt yourself from fragments others wouldn't recognize as hope. You've faced days where silence mocked your persistence, yet you still showed up. That discipline is not wasted. The foundation you've built through repetition has already rewritten your identity. Every failure hardened your focus. Every disappointment built distance between who you were and who you're becoming. The process was never about speed. It was about permanence. You've spent too much time bleeding for progress to let hesitation steal what you've earned in scars. There's a moment where the journey stops being about results and starts being about identity. You reach a stage where quitting would mean betraying the person you became through the struggle. You no longer push for validation. You push because you've realized your entire character was carved from persistence. You can't abandon the path without erasing your proof of growth. This is not about finishing a goal anymore. It's about becoming the kind of person who never abandons themselves. The climb has already changed you. You can't return to the version of yourself that accepted defeat. That identity no longer fits. The world doesn't owe you victory, but it does respond to consistency. Success is not luck. It's patience stretched across failure. Most people stop when it hurts, not knowing that's the exact moment the body and mind begin to synchronize into mastery. The longer you endure, the more aligned your system becomes. That's why breakthroughs feel sudden, because they were built on thousands of silent recalibrations. You've already paid for the outcome in blood, sleep, and sanity. Now you must collect it. The hardest part is not reaching the peak. It's convincing yourself that you deserve to stand on it. You do. Every hour of doubt has been fuel. Every disappointment has been data. Every loss has been a lesson disguised as delay. You don't need certainty to keep going. You need proof that you've gone too far to return to average. Look behind you. That's what failure looks like. Look ahead. That's what destiny looks like. The distance between them is your decision. You've already carried the weight of the beginning. Now you must carry the weight of completion. You've built momentum that only quits when you command it to. Don't rob yourself of the ending after surviving the worst chapters. Confidence is not emotion, it is evidence. Every day you show up, every task you complete, every promise you honor becomes a receipt that your subconscious collects as proof of reliability. You cannot talk yourself into trust. You must build it, brick by brick through consistency. The brain records repetition as truth. When you act in alignment with what you said you would do, your mind begins to believe you. That belief is not ego, it is earned stability. The reason discipline feels powerful is because it builds credibility with yourself. You begin to realize that your words hold weight. Every day invested compounds into quiet certainty. But the moment you break the streak without reason, that credibility devalues. Your brain remembers that betrayal, the only currency that buys lasting confidence, is consistency. Confidence dies where inconsistency begins. You can fake energy for a day, maybe even a week, but the nervous system keeps score. It tracks whether your behavior matches your declarations. Every skipped action sends a message to your subconscious that your word is negotiable. That erosion doesn't happen loudly, it happens silently, beneath awareness, until you find yourself doubting everything you say. You cannot command conviction when you've trained your mind not to trust you. That is why those who stay consistent exude calm certainty. Their confidence is not inflated by emotion, it's fortified by record. They've lived enough evidence to stop asking if they can. They simply know. Each day of discipline deposits into your internal account. Every small act, even when unseen, builds equity in your self-belief. You start to carry yourself differently because you've earned your own respect. The mind no longer argues with ambition because it has proof that effort follows intention. Consistency is psychological wealth. You cannot inherit it. You must earn it through relentless follow-through. When others give up, when excuses feel tempting, when comfort calls. Every time you say no, you reinforce identity. The more consistent you become, the more your future self trusts you. That trust manifests as confidence in every decision, every room, every challenge. The danger of breaking the streak is not the loss of progress, it's the loss of momentum. Once the rhythm stops, doubt floods in. The mind that had learned to rely on motion now panics in stillness. It questions whether the progress was real, whether it can begin again. This is why so many fall apart after one missed day, because they never learn to forgive without forgetting discipline. You don't need perfection, but you do need persistence. You cannot expect belief to stay inflated when you stop feeding it with action. Consistency is oxygen for confidence. Remove it, and the fire suffocates. Confidence grows in proportion to promises kept. Every time you say you'll do something and follow through, your subconscious adjusts its faith in you. Over time, this becomes identity. Not I can, but I am. But every broken promise subtracts from that balance. The fall from consistency is faster than the climb to rebuild it. That's why momentum is sacred. You protect it like currency, because once it's lost, belief takes time to re-earn. The human mind loves reliability. It hates volatility. You either train it to expect performance or to expect avoidance. And whichever you repeat becomes the truth you live by. The myth of motivation blinds people to the truth. That consistency doesn't come from emotion. It comes from repetition. Confidence is not found in hype. It's found in history. Every disciplined day rewires your identity. Every completion adds weight to your self-trust. That's why the calmest people in the room are often the most consistent ones. They no longer rely on excitement. They rely on the foundation of proof. When you build from discipline, your confidence is unshakable because it's not rented from others. It's owned through action. Breaking consistency does more than interrupt habit. It reopens doubt. You can recover from failure, but inconsistency teaches the brain to expect instability. Once that happens, every task feels heavier because you're carrying uncertainty with it. The key is to stay in motion long enough for effort to become identity. Once the system associates you with follow-through, quitting feels unnatural. That's how you create sustainable confidence, not through motivation, but through compulsion built from proof. You become addicted to reliability because the mind rewards it with calm and certainty. Each day of work is not just progress toward a goal, it's a vote for the person you want to be. The mind watches every move. It doesn't care what you say you value. It only cares what you repeatedly do. When your actions align with your vision, belief becomes automatic. That's how you build momentum that compounds beyond discipline. It becomes instinct. You stop negotiating with fatigue because motion has become your native state. That's how self-belief matures. It transitions from conscious effort to unconscious certainty. The world measures results, but the self measures integrity. You may not have achieved everything yet, but if you've shown up every day, you're already rich in the one currency that guarantees longevity: consistency. It's the silent power behind all mastery. It's what allows ordinary people to become inevitable. The difference between those who finish and those who fade is not intelligence, opportunity, or talent. It's the quiet decision to remain dependable when no one's watching. Consistency is how you earn freedom from self-doubt. The mind does not forget what you leave undone. It doesn't move on because unfinished work leaves open circuits in your consciousness. Psychologists call it the Zeigarnik effect, the brain's refusal to release incomplete tasks. It replays them during quiet moments, during sleep, during joy, until the loop closes. That haunting thought to return, that whisper reminding you what you abandoned, is not nostalgia. It's biology begging for resolution. The unfinished becomes a parasite, feeding on your peace until it's complete. You can numb it with distractions, drown it with noise, or bury it under excuses, but it always resurfaces. You can't outrun what your nervous system demands to finish. The only cure is completion. The body finds rest only when the mind finds closure. You think the past is gone, but it lives in fragments of unfinished effort. Every project you started and left half-built lives inside your memory, not as data, but as tension. The brain doesn't catalog it neatly. It keeps it alive like an open file waiting for response. That's why you feel restless without knowing why. The mind keeps reminding you, there was something you were supposed to finish. It's not guilt. It's the unfinished architecture of your ambition echoing back. The subconscious doesn't distinguish between trivial and essential. It just demands completion. That's why returning to what you abandoned brings peace long before it brings reward. Completion is not about achievement. It's about reclaiming energy trapped in unfinished stories. Every unfinished task costs attention. Every abandoned dream drains focus. You think you've moved on, but part of your mind is still stuck there, replaying possibilities, rehearsing alternative endings. The energy you need to build the future is being siphoned by ghosts of unfinished ambition. The Zygarnik effect isn't a curse, it's a compass. It points to what your spirit refuses to forget. When a thought won't die, when a memory keeps resurfacing, that's not coincidence, it's direction. Life leaves breadcrumbs in the form of mental restlessness. Follow them back to what needs closure, and you'll find freedom on the other side. Finishing is not about pride, it's about peace. The brain's obsession with completion is nature's way of teaching discipline. It knows that the mind that leaves everything open never rests. Incomplete effort keeps you in perpetual motion without progress. That's why people feel anxious even when they're inactive. Their brain is still running background processes from years ago. Closing a loop, even a small one, releases mental bandwidth. Every time you finish something, you reclaim focus, energy, and clarity. The act of completion is biological hygiene. It cleans the system from clutter, creating space for what's next. Regret grows in the soil of incompletion. The dreams you gave up on never vanish. They just transform into questions that haunt you. What if I had finished? What if I had just stayed consistent? Those questions don't fade with time. They deepen. You can lie to yourself and call it acceptance, but the subconscious doesn't buy that lie. It replays every unfinished loop like an unpaid debt. The ache of regret is not punishment. It's the nervous system's cry for closure. To finish is to silence the echo. To complete is to end the haunting. That's why quitting never feels clean. The mind remembers where you stopped and waits for your return. You can't build peace on half-finished foundations. The architecture of your character depends on completion. Each time you start and stop, you fracture self-trust. The mind takes notes. It learns whether your promises are real or rhetorical. Every time you finish something difficult, you reinforce belief in your own reliability. Every time you quit early, you weaken that foundation. Eventually, the mind stops believing in your words because it's seen too many broken commitments. That's how people lose confidence, not because they failed, but because they repeatedly refused to finish. The mind learns through evidence, and evidence only appears when you complete. The reason the idea still lingers is because your potential is unfinished. The thought to return to the project, the plan, the purpose, that's not obsession. That's identity trying to reconcile with what it left behind. You are wired for resolution. When something matters, the brain marks it as incomplete until action closes it. That persistent reminder is not torment, it's guidance. It's the mind trying to restore alignment between what you said you would do and what you've done. The discomfort of incompletion is not failure. It's a signal that you still care. The discipline to finish comes from respect for your own effort. You've already paid the price in time, in stress, in sleepless nights. To quit now is to waste the investment. The Zeigarnik effect doesn't punish you. It reminds you that you're still holding currency in unfinished form. Completion is how you cash it in. You don't need a perfect ending. You just need closure. Even flawed completion gives peace that perfection never could. The mind doesn't crave glory. It craves the satisfaction of release. Every finished task, no matter how small, rewires you for relief instead of regret. To finish what you started is an act of rebellion against the modern disease of distraction. Everyone starts, few conclude. The unfinished becomes cultural, a society addicted to beginnings but allergic to closure. That's why so many people feel perpetually anxious. Their lives are littered with open loops. You can't find stillness when your brain is juggling the debris of unfinished ambition. Completion is rare because it demands endurance, and endurance is the currency of peace. Those who master it don't need to escape their minds, because their minds are finally quiet. Every pursuit begins in the unseen. You pour effort into something that gives nothing back for a long time, and your mind rebels against that silence. It wants instant proof that the effort means something. But all systems, biological or mechanical, obey the same law. The data curve lags behind the input. You plant the seed, but the soil gives no sign that anything lives beneath. That's when most people panic. They dig it up, searching for reassurance, and kill the very process that required patience. The world hides growth inside waiting. The longer you can act without seeing the fruit, the more power you hold over your own mind. Results appear after the data curve, not before it. Trust that the equation is working beneath the surface, even when it looks motionless. Progress always happens before it's visible. A farmer waters dry dirt for weeks before the first sprout breaks through. A scientist runs hundreds of trials before one successful result appears. The pattern never changes. Reality delays feedback to test endurance. The mind conditioned for quick validation will not survive long-term creation. To thrive, you must cultivate faith in invisible labor. You must learn to see effort itself as reward. The results come as a side effect, not a promise. You work because the process deserves your respect, not because the world owes you applause. Every hour spent without return is not wasted. It's stored potential, building beneath perception, waiting for the curve to catch up. The truth about growth is that it hides in boring repetition. The glamorous part comes later, when others finally notice. Until then, it's you and the silence. You will question your timing. You will doubt your ability. But you must remember that every system of mastery lives in delay. Skill acquisition, business success, muscle growth, all follow exponential curves. The line stays flat until it suddenly bends upward, and by then it's too late for those who gave up early to catch up. The lag is nature's filter. It weeds out those addicted to immediacy. Those who endure the quiet phase inherit the compounding rewards. The wait is never punishment. It's qualification. Modern life trains you to expect the harvest before the season. Algorithms deliver feedback within seconds. That conditioning ruins patience. You've been programmed to mistake visibility for progress, but mastery still belongs to the patient. The algorithm of life does not refresh instantly. It rewards consistency, not craving. The world moves slower than your dopamine. That's why so many abandon the climb right before the curve turns upward. The secret is simple. Never interrupt compounding. Let the data mature before you demand proof. The law of delayed return has built every empire, every body, every skill that ever mattered. Growth is silent because transformation is internal before it is external. You cannot see a muscle forming, a neuron strengthening, or a mind expanding. It all happens beneath awareness. That's why doubt becomes your greatest opponent, because you confuse invisibility with failure. But what you can't see is still working. Invisible progress doesn't mean absence of movement. It means movement too small to measure yet. The moment you stop checking for proof, you start growing faster. That's how nature works. Observation slows reaction, trust accelerates it. Farmers don't dig up seeds to check growth. They trust the soil. You must learn to trust the process. Patience is the hardest discipline because it requires belief without confirmation. You can fake motivation, you can fake excitement, but you cannot fake patience. It reveals your true level of control. To trust invisible progress means to release control over timing. It's to understand that effort compounds in ways you don't understand yet. You plant the action today and wait for the momentum to mature tomorrow. The harvest always arrives, but only for those who stayed long enough to receive it. Faith in unseen work is not philosophy, it's physics. Energy never disappears. It only reappears in another form at another time. Most people sabotage themselves by checking for results too early. They want feedback faster than reality provides it. So they pivot, switch paths, chase novelty, and reset the progress curve each time. They live in the loop of restarts, mistaking activity for advancement. But the winners stay still long enough to let cause turn into effect. They understand that data needs time to stabilize before outcomes appear. You can't accelerate nature without distortion. Progress grows at the rate of alignment, not impatience.